Sarah's this story about Barcelona Football Club. They go to America and they show the male and female football teams getting on this airplane together, and then photos posted on social media accounts afterwards show that there was a differentiation between the teams. That the male players, the first team, the big stars, were in business class, and the women's team were not. Yeah. And that's annoyed you.
Well, some of these men were from the B team.
Were they?
And they were rated as top-rated players, and they got preferential treatment. Look, we can read into this, but my point is that...
You say no matter how they rated as men, all men were in business class. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
and
all right.
the women were in the economy class. And you know what? This annoys me. But the female players themselves came out in defence of their club, saying they had to organise everything last minute, and they were, put on the tour at the last minute. It doesn't matter. Stick up for your rights, ladies. This is why you get treated the way that you do.
But if a football club like this treats all of these players like economic assets, they're going to prioritise. It's like racehorses. They're going to prioritise who they're looking after, and they're going to put the big stars that bring them in the money, whether they be male or female, in the better looked after area. And it just happened to be male. Now, if it was me, as the gentleman I am, I would probably get up and say, "Please have my seat." I'd probably do that.
Well, listen, the thing is, the potential embarrassment to the football club is that it's actually promoting dedication to women's football, and this tour is supposed to be a historic joint tour. And my point is this: as a businesswoman, if you have stock A and stock B, and you want stock B to do really well, stock A is already flying, you've got the investment in there, that's gone. What you do to stock B for people to understand it, to appreciate it, and to buy into it is you spend money on stock B. You make it, you market it, you put it on TV, you advertise it, you put money behind it.
You lie about it. You say it's better than it is.
You invest in it. You invest in it. And this is what I'm saying. If you do not invest in women's football and you're just paying lip service, that women's football is never going to bring you the money it wants.
I completely agree, and I've run in to talk about this story because it makes me so angry.
She's running, she's so angry.
I'm on my high horse. You will never get parity, any kind of parity, unless you take a punt, unless you start treating people equally. Of course, the men's team reaps in a whole lot more cash than the women's team, and it's different. It's not that the men are physically better. They are physically different, and it's a different game. But Barcelona's decided to invest in a women's football team, and that has to be investment in every equal sense. There's no point shunting them in economy because that's not equal.
And I will just say what these football clubs think. You talk about investment. They don't see it as investment. They see it as something they really have to do.
Social responsibility.
Social responsibility, which doesn't make them money.
Yes.
Therefore, it's not an investment. And I know you said technically there, you said men aren't as good as
men are. No, men are physically more powerful than women. That's why men who run the 100 metres achieve faster speeds than women who run the 100 metres. That's not up for debate. The women's game is different. It's technically very different. There's a lot less diving. It just runs differently. But forget, none is better than the other. We're all used to watching the men.
But that's fine. But Eamon, let me be very clear. The men's football team and the whole industry is run by dinosaurs. I've been on those football stands and I do not see gentlemen there. I see dinosaurs. That's my first point. The second point is if you look at those
They don't run football. They're just the fans.
And whatever. The fans and the football team. But let me just say, if you look at the business model, you've got a big pie and you want to attract 50% of a new audience. Okay? Because where is your revenue going to come from? Because if I have a daughter and she's good at football, I'm going to invest to see her.
Yes.
Then if you have a women's football team, you encourage the mothers to come and the sisters and the aunties.
Absolutely right.
Your argument is exactly the argument I have pleaded over the years to Manchester United, and we have now got a women's team that will make its debut in this season that is ahead. It will be very interesting though to see if there's any economic return. It's the right thing to do. It's absolutely the right thing to do.
Do you know how long it's going to take? It's going to take years.
Well,
it's not going to be an overnight success.
If I had a chance, I'd be going. I'd be supporting it.
We've just had a 10-year-old girl sign up for Oxford United Academy. That girl was born to play football.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
Would it
And when
affect
you
her
see
seeing whether the men got first class or business class on a plane
Yes,
as opposed to the
it
women?
would do because I think she would go. But why
There
are
is
the
something
girls
inherently
treated
wrong in
there?
that.
That's something inherently wrong.
And actually, here's the thing: a lot of men I know have become so disillusioned with the men's game, with the money involved, with the inflated personalities, the egos, and the salaries, that they've turned to women's football as a more real type of football. You can access the players
women
easily.
are amazing.
Yeah. You can access the players easily. And until this World Cup, the England women's team had outperformed significantly the men's team.
Yes,
so they were
you
setting a
can't-
really
you
good
can't-
example.
You can't.
Of course you can.
Directly, of course you
because
can't directly
we are still
compare
playing
those performances.
Germany.
But
We're
Eamon,
still playing.
sorry.
Look, I'm only
Eamon,
making an economic
you
argument
can't-
because I'm totally
No.
in favour of everything that you're saying, and I totally agree. You cannot take money of women and bring them in to watch football matches and then give them nothing in return. They've got to be able to see that they can aspire to play for Oxford United, Manchester United, Newcastle United, whoever it happens to be.
When you say you can't compare men and women playing football, why can't you?
You can't compare the business models of the games. There's just not the
Of
same
course
structure.
you can't.
There's not
So forget
same
the business model.
investment.
Well, that we can't compare
Well, I'm
because
just
there's
saying
no
to you,
investment.
if you're
but
a club,
if you're looking at
and you're
skill,
faced with how you fork out your money, and I totally agree with Kate. I look at Alexis Sanchez at Manchester United, £550,000 a week. You couldn't spend £550,000.
It's not the real world, is it?
Well, it's just ridiculous.
Well, also, as a fan, are you watching football on the terraces thinking that you can connect with these superstars running around earning millions and millions
As a
of
fan,
pounds
you
a year?
dream. As a fan, you dream all the time. But when I look at a sulky plug like Jose Mourinho running the best football team in the world and not being able
According
to
to
smile
you.
about it, I think mate, get on your bike.
Yeah.
Really.
But
That's what I think.
what runs through this sport, and now that women are involved, is complete and utter and pure. It's so obvious. It's inequality and it's sexism and
Yes,
it is. What's that word?
You're wasted on me.
Misogynistic.
You're wasted on me.
misogynistic thing.
Just walk over the studio, go into Talk Sport, and do that same argument there because that's the special
But you
stuff.
know
I'm just
what?
saying.
Do you know
That's
what? The thing is, I couldn't talk there because I think they'd look at me and think I'm mental because those people do not understand equality. They don't want to understand equality.
Sarah, that is harsh. I've spoken on TalkSport tons of
I'm
times.
not talking about talks, but I'm just talking
Well,
about
yes,
men who
but
are into
people,
football generally.
People are trying to evoke change, okay? There are, women now on football boards. We are trying to bring through women into the football, but we are fighting against years and years and years of of sexism and of men in boardrooms.
all I'm saying
but
is-
the Barcelona statement undoes a lot of the good work that's
listen,
been done
we
recently.
don't know the full facts. We don't know if there's 6 business class seats, 106. We don't know how they could divvy them up or whatever it happens to be. All I know is I would have got up and said to someone, "Do you want my seat?"
Would
That's
you
what I would have
really?
done. Yeah, because then all the birds down the back of the plane, they'd have loved me, wouldn't they? They'd love me. I'd gone down and sat with
The
them.
birds.
Oh my
The
God.
birds.
Eamon Holmes, you just undid every single credit point I gave you in the
I was
last
only being
And
funny.
do you know what? Actually, I do disagree with you about Talk Radio Sport because it's a great
About
stage. Talk Sport.
which one?
I Talk Sport and the presenters because I'm sorry, I do think that they are still very sexist in their outlook when it comes to women's
Brilliant,
sports.
brilliant.
Bring
Please,
it on.
I'm
We
appealing
need
to
to
my
get a
producer now.
TalkSport presenter
Could you
on
put
now.
in a
Bring it on.
Could you put a transfer request in to get Sarah transferred before the season deadline over to Talk Sport?
For all the potential young
You and me
girls
should do-
out
we
there,
should do a
I
sports
will be
programme.
fighting for your corner.
Do you
For
know-
all the daughters out there, for the sisters, for the mothers who want their girls to play
Good.
football, let's do it. But we have to do it together and you have to stand up for your rights and say, not good enough. You don't go, oh, it was last minute, so that's why we thought we'd just get on.
All right, so
no.
you get on the plane and you're in that team, and every player, like every performer, is worried about their place. You get on, you say, "Excuse me, why is he sitting there and I'm not?"
Too right.
Would you not worry about being on the transfer list?
You know what? Put me on the transfer
being
list.
difficult.
But you know what? Do you know what? My rights are more important than a position.